may be seated.
Thank you all for coming today. All of us in this room, we knew Walton for many different reasons. Some of us called him friend, pastor, dad, family, uncle, husband, and I was the one that knew him as grandpa. And one of my grandpa's favorite jokes was to say that preachers never die, they just keep going on and on and on and on. I promise that will not be me today. I know that if I start speaking for too long, Grammy's going to give me the sign too. So I will try to keep it moving along. But unfortunately, as we know, pastors, they do pass away. But similarly to my grandpa's favorite joke, his legacy will continue to go on and on and on and on. Just look around this room, whether in a big way or a small way, or maybe even in a way that we don't even know. He made an impact on every single one of our lives. And then think about all of the churches that he spoke at, all of the communities he served in, all of his friends, all the odd jobs that he worked where people just got to interact with him, and they may not even have known who they were talking to in that moment. But his impact would just be impossible to measure. And the work he did, it wasn't always glamorous. It wasn't always mainstream or what people were seeing. A lot of it was probably behind the scenes. There's probably things nobody may even know about. But it was the work that he was called to do, and he loved it. He loved getting to serve people and do that work. The impact that he had on me, it's going to keep going on and on too. In my lifetime, I think I heard him maybe complain twice. And just thinking about that is very, very challenging to wrap my head around. He was also slow to speak. He wasn't the talkative one. That was probably a pretty good balance with being married to Martha. But when he did speak, you knew that it was something that he had thought through. He spent time thinking about it, and when he chose to respond or say something, it was a time to listen to what he had to say. He was also always thinking about other people all the time. I remember growing up as a kid, we would have family dinners for holidays and birthdays, all the things, and he would always pray before the meal, and I hated it. Like, Grandpa, hurry it up. It is time to eat. I am hungry. But he made sure if there was a group of people in the world that was experiencing something negative, we were praying for them. If he had a friend that was going through something, we were praying for him. If there was somebody at church, people I didn't even know, he was praying for them. People in our family, if we were traveling, he was always praying for us to have safe travels. And he was also always working on something, no matter what. If it was a radio, a car, who knows what he could have been working on. He loved to buy stuff, work on stuff. Didn't sell too much of it, but he liked to get it, that's for sure. I remember talking to him a few months ago. He even told me, he's like, I think I'm going to start playing golf again. I was like, Grandpa, I don't know. Maybe, okay, if you want to do it, sure. I don't know if that's a good idea or not, but he was always doing something. And one of the most important things is he was always still studying the Bible. I'd call him every now and then, and we'd ask him, hey, where are you speaking next? Where's that going to be? What are you going to be talking about? And he'd tell us where it was going to be. He would walk us through, tell us, I'm going to use this passage. This is kind of what I'm looking at. And even if he wasn't going to be speaking, he was always looking through his records, trying to figure out what he could learn. Even after all these years, he knew there was still stuff in the Bible that he could learn or get a new perspective on. And he never stopped learning. He always knew that there was another step he could take to get closer to God. And that is very, very challenging. A few years ago, before we moved to Colorado, he wanted me to have some copies of his sermons. So he gave them to me. He gave me this file folder of handwritten sermons on notepad and pencil. And one day I'll get them all cataloged because it'll be really nice to have it documented. But he still had a flip phone. Nothing was in the cloud. It's gonna take me a while. It's a lot of paper, but it's gonna be worth it. It's gonna be really cool to have everything documented. when we got into town last week, we found the notepad that he had written his last little talk on, and I actually got to take that notepad and use it to write this one, which was a really cool thing. And the last talk that he wrote was for a funeral, which is kind of fitting, so I want to read something that he wrote down. He said, "Heaven is mentioned over 500 times in the Bible. It's not just one person's experience. There have been many wonderful songs written about heaven. Streets paved in gold, mansions in the sky, no sickness, no pain, no heartaches. One writer has said, 'Eye hath not seen, nor ear has heard what is in store for those who love God.'" And for my grandpa, that's no longer a mystery. I'll miss him greatly. We will all miss him greatly, but we can find peace in the fact that earlier this week, my grandpa got to see Jesus face to face. And I will never lose hope in that. So again, thank you all for coming. I said I wouldn't talk long, and I didn't. Grandpa probably would have liked for me to keep going a little bit longer, but that's okay. So again, thank you guys for coming. We're going to take a moment. If there's anybody from the family that would like to say anything, now is going to be the time for that.